So welcome back to another edition of the Behind the Department video series. This month, September of the 2024 calendar project with Fire and Safety Services here in New Jersey. We're in the borough of Berlin, New Jersey, a part of the state that I've never been to before. I didn't really know much about you guys down here in the department, so today's been a fantastic opportunity to look behind the garage doors to see what's happening here. So first and foremost, I want to introduce my two guests today on the video. Bill Behnke. Bill's the Deputy Chief and Fire Marshal for the Borough of Berlin.
Yes, sir.
And then Mark Maloney, the Battalion Chief here with Berlin. Chief, thanks for having me. You were just doing the Behind the Build series with me before on Squad 21-1, so it was a lot of fun walking around and seeing the new build. But one of the things, and the reason why I like to sit down and kind of do the Behind the Department video series is because it paints a picture about the department that we're meeting with. I can walk around the truck and talk equipment, talk operations, strategy, tactics. We can talk why you built the truck you did. But if we don't understand the department, the type of department you are, and the history that and culture that comes along with that, sometimes there's a miss on why you did what you did when you build the trucks. And so, Chief, I'd love to start with you real quick. Mark, you know, we talked about the truck, we walked around before, but the Pierce apparatus, Pierce is an important brand to the Berlin Borough Fire Department, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so you have a couple different pieces here working with fire and safety. When you went out to design your new squad engine, right, it was important to find a manufacturer that you could work with well, right?
Yes.
Talk to me a little bit about that process.
We already had two Pierces previous, three, and the quality of the truck, it holds up. We have one for over 20 years now that is now going to go into reserve status. And, you know, whatever we need, they're there for us.
Yeah. And so, and I'd love to just follow up on that too. The introduction of a squad company is not a new concept for you guys, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. Chief.
Yes.
Thanks for joining me.
My pleasure.
You're a busy guy. You've been running in and out all day while we've been here.
Yeah, it's part of the job. You know, we take on all kinds of responsibilities.
Well, you know what I love too, though, is it strikes me as a very small town feel here. But it's a very busy fire department. You're a home response department.
Yes.
You're doing upwards of 800-900 calls a year, I think somebody had said at one point through conversation today. That is a very busy home response department.
Yeah, I believe this week, or past 2 weeks, we're over 50 calls for the past 2 weeks.
It's a lot.
It is a lot.
It's a lot to
for
ask
a
of your people.
Organization, it's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. And for you, and what I'm getting at is there's still this sense of small town feel here. You ran out, run over to town hall to do something. You had to pick up the phone a couple times. Like, you've had your hands in a lot of different places throughout the history of the department, your town, your borough, right? And so on. For you to see the growth from where you started, you're going to be a 50-year member, I believe you said?
Yes, that's correct, yeah. Entering my 50th year here.
Big changes in 50 years.
A lot of changes.
Talk to me about that.
Well, going back to, you know, through the history of Berlin Fire Department, this was a small town, very small town.
Yeah.
Going way back, the fire department actually was established in the early 1900s, and it was combined with our neighboring town, Berlin Township. Okay, the fire department over there. So we've actually had a working relationship with our neighboring town for almost the entire time.
Sure.
It was one fire department, Berlin, West Berlin and Berlin Fire Department, and then when the towns split and they divided the town, they divided the fire departments. They created their own fire department, and we created our own fire department. But we still to this day work together almost as one fire department, which is great. I mean, you know, that kind of support, it works very well. So we always know we have some sort of backup coming if we get something. You know, with limited resources and limited manpower, as a volunteer organization, you rely on your neighboring communities. And working close with a neighboring community as such as we do, you have the opportunity to train together, you know, kind of standardized equipment.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
everybody is familiar with the equipment and things like that, and share resources. Share personnel resources. It's gotten to the point where we are able to allow their personnel to, through an agreement, an alliance agreement with the communities, we're now permitted where if they're in the area, they come here, they jump on our truck, they grab gear here, vice versa. If one of our guys is over there or in their area and they get a call, they can go in the station, grab gear, and jump on their truck. We're all going to the same place. We're doing the same job.
Well, and I love that, right? Recognizing the importance of having to shift focus and change and innovate over time.
Yeah.
And for 50 years, the amount of change that has probably gone through these walls, not just the faces, but the way you operate, the call volume increasing, the responsibility for more training, more drilling, and so on.
Yeah.
Quite a change.
Quite a change. We're continuously trying to adjust to new regulations, new requirements for volunteer firefighters. They continuously throw additional requirements for volunteers and paid firefighters. I mean, they're going through the same thing. It's just a little easier because they can accomplish some of the things that they need, the training requirements, things, while they're getting paid to be there. Where with the volunteer, they're doing this on their own time generally. They got jobs and they got other responsibilities, family responsibilities, and so when they got to do the training and things like that, learn equipment and stuff like that, they're doing that after they leave their work and still have to, try to accommodate family needs and things like that and other social needs. So it's getting tough.
Very great points and well taken. And Mark, I'd love for you to jump in because you're that next generation, right? And now that you're in a battalion chief spot, Berlin Fire Department, you guys have innovated in trying to find ways to support your volunteers. I had a great conversation with your chief earlier before he had to leave. And the conversation with him was wanting to do everything he can for his people to maximize the effort of your volunteers, to get the most out of them, but by giving them everything they need to be able to perform for you and for the citizens of this area, right? So, Mark, you guys have gotten creative. It's a home response department, but you guys have put other things in place to ensure staffing, correct?
Yes.
Talk to me a little bit about where we are today.
So 4 years ago, we applied for a SAFER grant, and we got it, and we had in-station duty crews at our peak times. They did a whole data study of when our call volume is at its top, and we did 4-hour shifts, and they were based on our peak times.
Yeah.
That has since concluded, and the town is now supporting us and giving us the money to keep that going, and we're applying for that SAFER grant again to continue it.
I think what's really interesting there is like taking advantage of opportunities that exist, and there's tons of grant money out there, and it's not for everybody. It doesn't get earmarked all across the board, evenly. And so to be able to put together a program takes a lot of upfront effort and thought in innovating in how we can present a grant application to help support our department, right? And so you guys were awarded a SAFER grant that helped you put on duty crews, which you compensated for. So it's volunteer, yet there is a compensation for people that are willing to put in time, dedicated time to the firehouse.
Yeah.
I think it's smart, right? And then to look at it and for the borough to I think, piggyback on that, for them to understand the importance and significance of that and then continue to support that program. It's incredible. Bill, I have to think for you, being involved with the town like you are, and seeing these apparatus in and out of the doors all day long, it was coming.
Yeah.
Something had to change.
Yeah, we realized years ago that we had to start planning for the future.
Yeah.
As your volunteer staffing started to dwindle, we realized that we had to come up with some solutions to keep the trucks responding and keep personnel coming to the firehouse. You know, in my day, guys were always hanging out at the fire station.
Right.
You know, it was like
I grew up in it.
It was your social activity.
Yes.
You spent all day there. You would go home, go to bed, get up, go to work, come back and go to the firehouse.
That's right.
You know, and
That's right.
times have changed, and That just doesn't happen today. I mean, you still have that core handful of people that still show up at the firehouse and get most of the stuff done that needs to be done. But
always been that way.
yeah, it's always been that core group. But you know, they're not. Even those guys don't have the time to spend here like we used to do. You know, I mean, you know.
I do get it. I think what's important though is like 50 years and 16 years, Chief.
Yep.
So 50 years and 16 years. What's important though is you're both on the couch today talking with me in a common front. And a lot of times we'll find there's pushback between the generational values, where as the older guys don't like change as much as younger guys want to come in and say we need to make some changes. And finding that middle ground is what pushes a department forward.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think at times we're our own worst enemy, where we'll fight each other for the sake of protecting what we think is the right thing, when in fact we need to pivot and change focus and change, you know, our trajectory.
I agree, and I think you have to have an open mind. The older guys have to have an open mind as to their ideas, okay? Because they come to you with some good ideas.
Yeah.
They may not work for you, but you got to hear them out.
Yes.
You know what I mean? A lot of times, you know, if you're a veteran or a fire officer that's been around a long time, you listen to what they got to say. You don't just discard it and say, no, you know, we're not doing it that way, or we're not going to change, or this or that. You listen to them. Now, if it can work and you can apply it, okay, maybe you do make the change. But sometimes you have to evaluate whether or not it's good enough for your organization to make that change, or whether it's going to really have a negative impact.
Yeah.
And we try to hear them out, okay? And it's always been our philosophy. Hear what they got to say. Let's evaluate it. Give us your points of interest to say why you think this would be better for us. Just give you an example. Say, guy comes in, he sees this new nozzle that's out there.
Sure.
And he says, you know, we need these. This is going to improve our, you know, our fire attack, and we can do this and we can do that. All right, well, give us your points. Tell us why we need this, and you know. And then if it works and we all agree on it, we'll discuss it amongst the officers, and if we all agree on it, and you know the information they brought to us is valid, then sometimes we'll implement it.
Yeah.
But sometimes just making change for the sake of change
Yes.
isn't a good thing, okay? Because it sometimes it can discourage some of your other members from coming around, because they're like, you know, why are we moving all this stuff, and why are we changing this and all this stuff, you know, and I can't keep up with it. And that's kind of a thing you got to keep in the back of your mind.
I couldn't agree with you more. And in fact, I want to double down on that. And it's finding that balance. I talked about that common ground, but it's finding that balance where change for the sake of change is not good change.
Right.
Change needs to point us in the right direction. We need to head north, and we need change to help us get there. And I think a department that has a culture that allows for the younger generation to offer ideas, and for them to empower their younger members to bring in ideas and say, us as a department, let's vet this. Could this be beneficial for us?
Right.
Right? A lot of times we're quick to say no. A lot of times we're not interested in change. But we have to change. You're running 800-900 runs a year from a home response department, and now we're starting to see membership drop off, and we're starting to maybe drop a call here or not get the proper staffing. If we're willing to not listen to alternatives, we're never going to get ahead. And we have one job here, Chief, right? Mark, this is about the public we serve. And so the duty crew program you guys put into effect, you're talking about maybe expanding it a little bit more, looking at other opportunities. I love that you guys have partnered with an adjoining district or town in saying, we operate together, we're running together, why not be together? I think it's smart. I really do. Mark, has it been a challenge as a younger, 16 years? You got your feet wet? You've been in the fire service 16 years, second generation, I think you said.
Yes.
Too? You're still young. So you bring a lot of ideas to the table, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. So it's got to be, I'm sure there's times there's this. Every department has headbanging too, right? We walk away from meetings and, drill nights going, we're not making any progress. And then there's other nights that just, this is great, we're making progress. For you in a battalion chief position, I love when younger guys can get to a position where they can start affecting change and influence, because I think change and influence has to come from the table we're all sitting at. And so for you to be there, it's got to be fun.
Absolutely. Yeah, like the younger guys, some are a little more comfortable coming to me because
Yes.
I'm from not their generation, but not also the older generation. And, I can kind of hear them out because I've been around here my whole life from
Sure.
when my dad was here and have gone up through the ranks. Even 16 years ago, it was a lot different. We were getting, 20 guys to show up for,
Yeah.
an alarm system,
Yeah.
a nuisance run. And it's not like that anymore. So, these guys, younger guys, are computer savvy. They're always watching YouTube. They see a lot more things than we would. So when they have an idea, we don't just shun them away. We see how it would work for us.
A positive culture will empower their people.
Yeah.
A negative culture will keep their people down, right? And I think what's really fun about that, guys like Josh off camera, he's been with us all day today, right? He's part of the duty crew. He's here today. He's hanging out with us. He's had some great insights too today, talking with him and just kind of hearing the way about Berlin and how it is. And I think it's important. I think the one thing I do caution though, and Bill, I think you would agree is, and you alluded to it before, is change for the sake of change is not always great. What we have to do is vet the change. And I think patience is required, and today we lack patience. And so that's really a big part of the conversation is you want to find that common ground. The older guys and the younger guys need to have patience. Try it, see if it works, and then we can enact it. Not everything's an overnight success.
No, there's always going to be change.
Yes.
Things are constantly changing. There's always going to be change. But you need to control your change so that it's something that's good for you. You don't, like I said, you don't want bad change, things that are going to negatively impact your organization. And that's why we vet this stuff. We try to see if it's going to work for us, and if it's going to work for us, then we'll implement it and put it into work.
Yeah.
But if it's not going to work for us, or if it seems like it might have a negative impact, then let's just table that for now. You know what I mean?
I get it. I just, culture is so important in the fire service. I think we're very fortunate in the Northeast. Even southern New Jersey, I consider it the Northeast. It was a joke.
Yeah,
Northern, southern Jersey, it's a whole thing.
Know. It's 2 states.
But yeah, this is Pennsylvania, I think, right? Yeah, right? Yeah. Anyway, my point is that, culture, we're very lucky in the fire service to have the culture we have in the Northeast. Yeah. A lot of fire departments, you said early 1900s, so steeped in tradition, right? You look around this firehouse, the equipment is impeccably clean. The floors, we met that gentleman before. I mean, the guy took great pride in making sure the trucks are cleaned, the floors are done. And this is a retired gentleman that's here because he wants to be here. Yeah. And then where we're sitting is such a cool setup, right? It's like, this is the back of the bay, they call it, right? Behind the apparatus, the recliners, the couches, the gear all lined up and put together. This promotes firemanship. This setup here promotes conversation.
Yep.
And brotherhood.
I agree.
I love it.
The old days, the guys used to sit on the beaver tail of the fire truck.
Right.
And that's where you would have all your conversations and talk about stories and stuff. And that's the reason we put the seating in here.
I love it.
We all used to meet in the back room, and you never got that same atmosphere as you did in the engine room.
Agreed.
So we put the seating in the engine room. The guys, it's just like the old days sitting on it. You'll hear the guys out here kidding around with each other, and it just builds that camaraderie, It really does.
I couldn't agree with you more. Yeah. I mean, I think that if you have the space to be able to do, I don't have this space in my firehouse, but we're always at the front bumper after runs, after training, right? We rarely go inside the building anymore. We're typically out in the bays the whole time, right? And so on. Mark, representing that younger generation as the battalion chief here and so on, this part of the firehouse has got to be a lot of fun for you guys.
Yeah, so, the running joke is, every time we get a call, it's like, normally a call takes 20 minutes tops.
Right.
Time to dispatch, you go out, handle it, come back, 20 minutes. But you're here for 2 more hours just sitting here, busting each other's chops, just hanging out, talking about anything, just trying to solve the world's problems.
And we often do, right? Like, so much good comes from something like this. I think what we're starting to lack, and I'm so grateful that you said that, because I'm finding that I don't have that time anymore to hang out after the run. After training, it's like I'm off to the next thing already.
Yeah.
And I know people are squeezed for time. So to create an environment where it's comfortable, you might be able to squeeze that extra 10 minutes out of a guy. Yeah. And for guys like yourself with some experience, especially you, Bill, 50 years, you bleed for this place. Like this is your home.
Yeah.
So for you to talk with one or two of the new kids and feel comfortable in doing that, and they're comfortable because the environment promotes that, that's how we win. Yeah, that's how we get forward.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. It's your firehouse family. It is.
Yeah.
This is your extended family. These members, these younger members, they're like my children.
Yes.
They really are. I mean, as a chief here, I've been called by our members, that have been stopped by the police or, their car broke down.
Everyday things.
Why don't you call your parents?
Right.
No, I figured you'd help me out, Chief.
Yep.
That kind of deal, and it feels good.
I've been there. I get it.
And it's, again, it's all part of that brotherhood that's built on the fire service.
And we need guys like you to be present and instill those beliefs and values into those next generation.
Yeah.
We need them to understand that you are to bend over backwards for your fellow brother or sister, and that's your job, and that's our obligation to one another. And, again, it's evident here.
Yeah.
The culture is positive, it's exciting, and it comes through in the build. Just to kind of bring it back around to the Behind the Build series that we did with your squad engine. It represents who you guys are today. Rescue, truck, and engine, all those disciplines can be handled by your first two squad company going out of here with either your duty crew or your home response guys. It's a win.
Yeah.
It's a win.
I agree.
Good. Well, I want to thank you both for a little inside look into the Borough of Berlin's fire department here in southern New Jersey. It's been a real treat for us today. Sebi and I, we get to do this. We get to travel all over the country, not just New Jersey, but all over the country, talking and meeting guys from different fire departments and seeing how they operate. I will say that this has been a memorable day. There's a lot of greatness here. So I challenge you guys to continue with that and keep pushing forward.
Well, thank you. It was our pleasure to have you here today, and we hope we got you the information you were looking for, and it was enjoyable having you here today.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. Thank you. And I think, ultimately, to kind of wrap is like promoting firemanship and talking about the departments that are doing all the good. We focus so often on the negative that the good stuff, this stuff, often gets overlooked.
Yeah.
Or overshadowed by the bad.
Yeah. One thing I forgot to mention.
Yeah, please.
That we also implemented, and we try to push this forward. We'll have like seafood dinner night here for all the members and their family, to bring your kids, bring your wife.
Sure.
And it'll just be our guys cooking, and we'll have a little get together. So for all the members, we do what, 2 fishing trips a year?
One or two, yeah.
2 fishing trips a year where everybody goes down to the shore, jumps on a party boat, and we all go fishing together.
I'm available, so you let me know. I'm
Whenever
in.
you
All right,
want.
I'll bring the coolers. How about that?
Sounds
again,
good.
I'll bring the coolers.
This is all part of the team building.
Absolutely.
We discuss different ways to try and get all of our guys together, so that everybody feels that brotherhood, and these little things that you do to enhance that, keeps these members active and keeps them coming around.
I couldn't agree with you more. We need to, we have to be conscious of our volunteers' time.
Yeah.
Right? And we know they're being pulled in 1,000 different directions. So when they're here, regardless of if it's an activity, fire call, training, required training, whatever it is, right? You guys being here today with me, right? We have to make sure it's beneficial and worth our volunteers' times. And I think that's where solid leadership and a strong foundation will allow you to focus on your members and be conscious of what you're giving them. We need them to be here. They're being pulled in 1,000 different directions. This might not be a priority compared to other things in their life. How do we make this more of a priority? And what can we do to make their time beneficial for them being here?
Yeah. No,
And if it's
couldn't
fishing or it's a seafood dinner, if they come, make it an enjoyable experience.
Yeah.
Laughter. Keep the negativity away.
Mm-hmm.
Keep it positive.
Yeah.
Lift people up. I think that's what's really important.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Awesome. Guys, thank you very much for opening your doors today to us. Battalion Chief Mark Maloney and Fire Marshal and Deputy Chief Bill Behnke. Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. I appreciate it. Guys, thanks for tuning in. This has been the Behind the Department series with Fire and Safety Services, the local Pierce dealer here in New Jersey. Thank you for tuning in. This is the September issue. And again, get out and get to know your fire companies. Get out and get to know your fire departments, the tradition and culture that drive them. I think it's important, and we can't lose sight of that. So thanks for tuning in. We'll see you at the next one. I'm Jeremy, National Fire Radio.